listening to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. This is episode 120, where we share our secrets of buying guns and ammo online with you. It's a tough world out there trying to find guns, ammo, and accessories right now, so we tell you where we look to find info, firearms, ammunition, and anything else you can try to get your hands on in the firearms world right now. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy episode 120 of Range Minded, the secret to finding guns and ammo online. Hello and welcome to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. My name is Mark Long, and I am joined as always by
Steve Zimmerman. What is happening, listeners out there?
Not much. Well, not me, them.
Well, you listen, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I listen as we do it.
I listen. Yeah, me too. That's about it. I do have to admit that I have a hard time listening to my voice after it's recorded. So I tend to, I've listened to a few episodes, but I tend not to listen to the show that I've already done.
That's okay. What's the word? You experience them. You don't need to listen to them again.
That's true.
So.
That's true.
Well, how are you? How's things?
Good. For some reason, I've been really tired. I'm guessing it's just because it's so hot.
Yeah, it's turning into those warm days. So, what do they call them? The dog days of summer?
Yeah, it's definitely the dog days. Even if it's not, it feels like it now.
Yeah, so, it's, it may be hot outside, but, as long as you're staying inside and have a fan going, you should be okay.
It's nice and cool inside the range.
It sure is. Climate controlled at Independence Indoor Shooting. Independence Indoor Shooting. How about that?
Yeah. I'm just saying it's nice.
It is. It sure is. So, we're going to talk about not the range though today.
No, sir. No, sir.
Because if you have gone to any local gun range or any gun shop around, you've probably noticed that you are not able to find any firearms that you want, any ammo that you want, even accessories really might be,
Yeah, it's been tough.
Might be hard to come by. So, but we are here to tell you that all hope is not lost.
No. It may be discouraging, but it's not lost.
Right, and there are things to be found for those who are willing to look.
Yeah, and it's easy to fall down a rabbit hole, but don't just get stuck on one website that somebody says, "Oh, this is the best place to go," and then you go there and there's nothing. Don't get discouraged. Don't stop there.
No, you need to have multiple websites you go to, and of course we're going to be talking about buying guns online today, because you can buy firearms online. They just need to go to an FFL before they come to you under 99% of the circumstances.
Yes.
You can buy ammo most of the time, depending on what state you're in. And so depending on what you're looking at, and if you, have the right strategies, you'll be able to get what you want, despite the insanity going on right now.
And shout out to our listeners in California, because you can now buy more things. Well, at least one accessory or a standard component that you couldn't get, a month ago.
Right. Yeah. Congratulations to California. As much as I say congratulations to them, it's still going to be they're going to make it even harder for the rest of us to buy stuff, but that's okay.
Yeah.
In the short term. Yeah.
A little caveat. Yesterday, Saturday, we record this on a Sunday. I spent some time with our friends over at Men2 Magazine. They have a brand new warehouse and distribution facility, so I went over there and hung out with them for an hour or two.
Sure.
At their new place. And one of the local gun dealership owners asked him, "Hey, is this California thing? Like, what did it do to you guys?" And Matt over there, he's like, it's going to destroy me, he just said as he chuckled. He's like, he saw that the second that ruling was passed, he said all of the distribution companies that they're with ordered and made huge orders. And he's like, they won't sell to mom and pops right now. Everything's going to go through distribution. And they just got pounded with orders.
Really?
Pounded. And I talked to him probably a year ago, and he was mentioning that they had already surpassed maybe it was the beginning of this year, actually. I don't know, feels like a year ago. Whatever it was, they'd already surpassed like the previous 2 years of volume in the first few months of maybe it was the last quarter last year. They'd already surpassed everything in one quarter that they did like 2 years previous.
Wow.
So now they better bump up on manufacturing. But yeah, they just got pounded, which is good. But you're right, it's going to be tough for the rest of us. Yeah,
and that's unfortunate.
But what do you do?
Well, it's unfortunate in the short term because eventually, as we've seen in the gun industry, is that manufacturing will eventually catch up as long as nothing else insane happens.
Well, I think we talked about Fiocchi building another facility to keep up on ammunition demand.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple episodes ago.
Capitalism is working, like they're trying to keep up.
Yeah.
But we're seeing record gun sales, record accessory sales, higher than ever predicted. And so, we talked about it before, it's just supply and demand.
It's a little unprecedented, yeah. And but like we said earlier, there are ways to get what you want as long as you know where to look and as long as you are diligent. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Not only how to research guns that you may not be able to get a hold of online and to get a feel for them, or maybe if you live somewhere where you can't go rent a gun, or if everybody's out, even just to handle it, over the counter, and as well as how to find guns that you may not be able to find right now, or maybe obscure other kind of guns that you won't be able to find under normal circumstances. So
yeah,
we're gonna spill all of our secrets and help and share all of our tips just for you.
And in the middle, if you hear me gasp or say something strange or whatever, it's because not only am I currently doing a podcast about researching, but I'm researching the Glock 19 build that I'm trying to put together, and I just found some cheap stuff.
Really?
Yeah. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
So, but yeah, I mean, even under normal circumstances, obviously the best thing to do, when you're researching what next gun to buy, or maybe your first gun, because we've talked in the past about training and taking a basic pistol class and finding that the pistol that maybe somebody recommended to you or the first one you bought isn't necessarily the one for you. Sometimes, you can't go rent a gun to try a bunch and see what works for you better. Sometimes, especially now, it's better to have any firearm, I would say, than none.
Right.
And so obviously, since I've been converted now, you can't ever go wrong with a Glock, but
Yes. Good answer.
But, sometimes, like I said, even under normal circumstances, if I've got a gun that maybe has piqued my interest, I want to do some more research on it. And so there's a lot of resources online that you can go to that have, probably done reviews for it, whether video, print, photos, otherwise, and get a variety of information from a lot of different people to get that information to make a more informed decision.
Yeah. And obviously there's a ton of stuff on YouTube. Because of that, the amount of things that's on that website, a lot of it's garbage too. So don't just watch one video and say, oh, that must be true. Just spend some time. Jump on the manufacturer's websites. I know a lot of time that information is biased, but
sure,
at least just it starts to give you an idea of what the platform is, what it's capable of. And then you can go and watch maybe Hickok or whoever on YouTube and see what they think of those particular features and why they work or don't work. And it helps you develop an opinion that's kind of your own.
Definitely. And that's actually one of the first things I was going to say, was actually one of the first things I do is check out the manufacturer's website, because it's going to give you, like you said, you're going to get a lot of the marketing language that you may not want to deal with or something, where it says, well, this is redefining the firearms industry and this is setting a new standard and blah 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 blah. But at the same time, you're going to get a lot of the intimate details that you may not get out of other reviews. So it's definitely worth checking out, I would say.
And And it's true. A lot of those catchphrases they use, it's marketing, right?
Right.
They're there to advertise a product that they're selling. But once you get through just the language of it, like we're saying, is it helps you say, well, what makes this gun different than the other gun? What makes the Glock 19 Gen 5 different than the Springfield or the Smith & Wesson or whatever? Because there's a ton of similarities across there. But there's always something that they'll sell, right? There's always something that's different,
right?
That helps the gun define itself. So,
right, and that I mean, most of the time it really comes down to personal choice, you know, and it's hard to figure out what you personally enjoy as a new shooter, you know, online. But you can at least with video and manufacturer, you know, reviews, because even a lot of manufacturer websites will have videos there. You can kind of get a feel for what it's like to be shooting that gun a little bit, you know.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree.
That's a great place to start. Another, you know, and it depends on, I guess, how you process information, but videos, like you said, you know, YouTube is a great one. We have, I think, done a great episode on some of the YouTubers and social media people that we follow and watch online, but I figured we could maybe go over some again that we enjoy. You mentioned Hickok45, who's a fantastic YouTube personality.
And for his age, he makes great videos.
Sure does.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, he should be a boomer or a FUD or whatever, but he's not. He's not. He's very open-minded, and he's very commonsensical about the industry. And he makes great videos. They're entertaining. He's got a little dry humor that at least us older guys enjoy, I guess. But
I enjoy it too, and I'm not that old.
And I'll tell you what, like we talked about Paul Harrell. I'd never watched any Paul Harrell movies or videos until then. Dude, I watch everything of his. I've even gone back and found some stuff that wasn't under the Paul Harrell name that he'd done for something else that he did.
Really?
And oh man, he is he's kind of dry and boring, but his information is on point every time.
Yeah, it's very solid. There's another couple guys that I like. There's a guy called Mr. Guns and Gear who reviews a lot of stuff. He's pretty good.
He's almost as handsome as me. He's got the same haircut.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's like you minus 5 years,
and actually in shape.
A little bit, yeah. And then this guy might be a little divisive, but Such 00 or Double Aught.
Yeah,
he's all right.
Yeah.
He's a little dry. He doesn't have much of a sense of humor or anything like that, but he's very thorough too with his information. So that's always some great place to check out. And then for kind of like the obscure stuff, because you know, even during normal times, maybe you're looking for something that's not mainstream. Maybe you're looking for like a Walther P38, for example. Don't know where I would come up with that, but
why would you want one of those?
Because they're awesome.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there. But you know, maybe you are, you know, a CNR collector, or maybe you want something, a little out of the way or something like that. I actually found, you know, we've talked about this before a little bit, but Larry Vickers has a huge repository of, reviews and videos of shooting all kinds of random stuff.
Yeah. And he's written several books. Like, he's no slouch. I mean, he's got a vast amount of information and a lot of experience.
And then also, I mean, I guess depending on how obscure you want to go, maybe just to pass the time, or if you're really getting into something, you know, Ian from ForgottenWeapons.com. That guy's pretty cool.
That guy, when it comes to history and mechanics, that guy is smart.
Yeah, if you want to get really deep into history and especially, you know, obscure firearms or whatever, and maybe that's what you're looking, you know, to get at some point. Yeah. So might be something to check out. But then also, you know, I like reading print reviews of things. Believe it or not, you know, sometimes you can describe something in with the written word better than what you can in a video, you know, especially when you're trying to be smooth and you're trying to come up with, you know, words to say live, kind of like we're doing now, you know?
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about print is that you can read it and digest it at your own pace, where I've just recently finished a video where the dude had a really deep Southern accent, and he was talking really fast, and so I found myself like, oh, bump back 10 seconds, let me hear that again or whatever. Where on the print, you just read at your pace.
Right, exactly. And you can go back and reread and enjoy, and really kind of dive into what they're thinking. And one of my favorite websites for that is...
What are you drinking over there?
I was drinking a Coca-Cola.
Oh, I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper.
Well, there you go.
How about that?
Yeah, a little carbonation to help.
Mm-hmm.
But the website I was going to say was The Truth About Guns. I swear, man, they have done everything under the sun, reviewed everything under the sun that you could find. And, it seems to me that if you are looking at it, you're going to be able to find a review for it.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. And some of those guys like Larry Vickers we just mentioned, he gets a hold of some of those guns and he shoots them. And it's a place where nobody's ever, nobody in America gets to shoot the MP7 or whatever, which isn't quite true because I had a chance to shoot one. Just a little bragging there.
No big deal.
But you know what I mean? There are some guns that somehow he gets a hold of that, oh, there was 6 of these made and they were all in Eastern Bloc of Europe, but I happen to have one here.
Or I know somebody who's got one.
So that's why I like watching his videos, because you're just like, how in the hell did you get a hold of that thing?
Yeah, exactly. So, it's safe to say, there's a huge repository and wealth of information online that you're able to go check out and learn about everything from common guns, if it's your first, your first firearm that you're looking to get, or if you're like I said, looking for something obscure or specific or something like that. You'll be able to find a lot of information on it, which again is no substitute for being able to go and shoot it or even handle it at your local gun shop or whatever. But it's strange times right now. So,
and I'd be really interested to find out. Now it's my turn to burp. Excuse me. I'd be interested to hear of if any of our listeners, I almost said viewers, if any of our listeners are thinking about buying their first gun or they've just purchased their first firearm, I'd be interested to hear from you and to find out what made your mind up, like why you decided this. Yeah.
So, what made you choose your first firearm and why was it a Glock?
Yeah, good answer.
That reminds me, though, let's do a quick sidebar, is that we need to give a shout out to 2 listeners.
Oh, yes. In fact, let's do it. Sorry.
Go ahead if you've got it.
Well, there was Daniel who had a great question, and I emailed him back and talked to him for a second. And Daniel, we will find out the information on there, and it is going to be sparse, but I'll find out something. I promise I'll find something out, even if we have to get somebody smarter than me on the show, which is pretty easy to do. So let's just talk about what Daniel said, because I think it's not maybe a part of this episode, but it's definitely appropriate to talk about. Go ahead. I'm trying to find my emails too. Here. That's okay. He said that he's heard us say a few times that open carrying is more likely to become a target than someone who is not, and he asked us to expand on why that is and provide some data and some statistics to support that. And I think his point that he brought up was that an attacker will go after the easiest or weakest targets. And if he sees a pistol on somebody's hip or whatever, he thinks maybe I shouldn't attack that guy. So. Yeah. And I think it could, excuse me. I think you could probably find information or at least speculate that the attacker could make either decision, like, oh, I'm going to get that guy first because he's a threat, or this is a bad choice, I'm going to go somewhere else. Sure. Yeah, it just we'll do either, if we don't do a full episode on it, I think we'll do at least a partial on it. And there is a gentleman who we both know that has a lot of policing experience that has been on the show before, that he might be able to lead to some information or at least some good conversation about it. Yeah, and like you said, we'll get somebody smarter than both of us, which is not hard to do. But we wanted to give Daniel a shout out to appreciate and say thank you for the email that he sent us, and that we haven't forgot about him, even though he emailed us 2 months ago. Yeah, we have not. I know it's been a little bit, but we have not forgot about you.
And then do you want to talk about our second guest that emailed, or our second listener that emailed us?
Yeah, Jim is another guest that got in contact with us, and he's working on being an instructor. He's gone to a lot of different classes, and he spent some time with a gal named, Lisa Chow, and he said that she, he'd be eager for us to have her on the show, just her life story and the way she teaches and shares information. He said was pretty awesome. She does a lot of stuff virtually, so the class that he took was online, not in person, and he said it was a good course.
Yeah, so we're going to work, thank you first, Jim, for throwing that our way, and we'll do our best to get in touch with Lisa to try to get her on the podcast and get her story told a little bit. I think that would be great. So, if you're a new shooter and you just bought a gun recently too, email us at podcast@iishooting.com, or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Range Minded Podcast. Always good to hear from listeners, so we appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, so that's just what made me think of that. I wanted to make sure we got that out there.
Yeah, I was thinking about it last week, and I just never, I forget things easily. I shouldn't be running for president. So,
but anyway, talking about, first guns and finding guns or whatever too, research obviously only gets you so far getting it in your hands. You want to make sure that you have access to ammo, maybe accessories, holsters, stuff like that you're looking at, or, maybe you go to your gun shop and it's just completely empty, right? Which is a big bummer.
Yeah, and it just currently is that way. And we've talked, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We've talked about that. But I guarantee you somewhere in that gun store or in the range, wherever you're going, somebody is willing to help you.
For sure.
Somebody will do it. And honestly, even you might be intimidated or whatever, but go to some shooting matches. If you know that there's like a pistol club somewhere in your community, go to those pistol matches, because I guarantee, even though some of them have a lot of swagger or whatever you want to call it, they think they're pretty cool, they're still willing to help you out, because we want new shooters in the community. Like, we want more people
definitely
to share our love for the firearm. So I guarantee if you go to a shooting match, somebody will be like, here's some ammo, here's my gun, why don't you shoot a stage? They'll do it, and they'll walk you through the whole thing.
They really will.
And I promise you, it's going to be the safest shooting experience you've ever had. They don't just give you the gun and say, go. Like, there's somebody walking with you the entire time, making sure you're maintaining safety. It's a ton of fun, too.
Yeah, they'll tell you where to shoot, what to do, and if you're not being safe, they'll stop you from what you're doing real fast.
Yeah, just don't take offense to it, because safety is at the very pinnacle of everything they do at pistol matches, or any shooting match for that matter.
Yeah,
and they'll take it seriously, but don't take it offensive. Like, they're not just punishing you because you're a noob. I promise.
And if that's too much, it might be worth your while to go to your local gun store, especially if you have a reputation. Maybe you bought a gun or two from those guys, or you have a friend who is. If you don't see what's behind if you don't see what you want behind the counter, don't be afraid to ask if you can order it, if they can order it for you. The worst that they can say is, hey man, if we don't have it, we don't have it. We can't order it. Like, they're not going to be mean about it, No.
And right now, the way distribution is, it's not a no, I can't get it for you. It's, yeah, we can get it, but it might be, it might be an extra month, or we don't know for sure, but I'll put it on the back order list or whatever.
Yeah.
Most shops, when they're doing special orders for you, I know this because I've done it. We get on our distribution. We look at all of our different distributors. Usually, most gun stores have 5 or 6, maybe more distributors that they go through, and they'll run those SKU numbers. They'll find the item, and once in a while, like, say if there's 10 distributors, 8 of them might be out, but you might find 2 that, oh yeah, these guys have them, and we'll order them. So be persistent. Don't just let them look at one website and go. Ask them if there's any other distributors. If they can't find it from the first one, that you might find another one there. But all is not lost. They can get them. Like, well, it just might be a little bit longer.
Right, and the reason that I brought it up too is because they may be able to search like you said, search by SKU, search, places that the average person may not think of to search, and that, you might get lucky, and it might as well start there, because not only then are you supporting your local gun store, but then on the other hand is that they're able to look where you may not be able to and help you in your search.
Right. And that's particularly with new guns. If you're buying used guns, it's a little bit different story, but new firearms and new accessories, they usually have a better in than the normal consumer can get to.
Definitely. Now, it depends on new, but also definitely used, like, especially if you're looking for a gun, like maybe it's your first firearm and you don't care if it's new or used, because used guns can be just as good as new guns as long as they've been taken care of, and that kind of thing. You'll be just as fine, just as good with a used gun as a brand new gun. And in that regard, you can definitely do a lot of searching online at a lot of different websites. So why don't Steve, you start with if you're looking for a used gun or maybe something particular, what do you go look for? What websites do you check?
So honestly, the very first one I go to, and a lot of people, there's some people who don't like this website, is I usually go to Gun Broker first.
Sure.
It lets me know a couple different things. It lets me know what the market is on that gun. If I see something, for example, Glock 19, if I pulled up the Glock 19 right now on Gun Broker, it'll tell me that, the new ones are going from $600 to $800, and used ones, if they have them, they could be just as high. So it lets me kind of know where the market sits. But it also gets me out there a lot farther than just my one concentrated local area. That's one thing I do like about those online sites. Another great one is Guns America. They have not only informational videos and some tutorials, but they have a place to look for firearms to have them shipped to your FFLs too. And a lot of people overlook that.
Yeah.
There's a big, vast store there.
Yeah, there's a couple of those big stores. You have places like Bud's Gun Shop too, which they have all different kinds of guns, new guns, used guns, consignment guns that you can check out. And
Bud's is huge. It's huge.
And they have some pretty good deals on stuff, and they get a lot of police trade-ins. Which, speaking of police trade-ins and used guns, I mean, police departments all over the country change their firearms all the time or update their firearms all the time. And when they're done, they usually sell them to, FFLs or, gun distributors or wherever all the time,
Yeah. In fact, I think federally they can't just sell them to the community. I think they have to go somewhere else, which I don't really understand. And that might not be true, but in my experience, they hardly ever just, like Meridian Police Department, for example, just doesn't come to us and say, "Hey, here's a bunch of our guns." It doesn't work that way. So, yeah, when you get to Buds, or honestly, I think there's some other ones. I think Ames Surplus.
That's a great one too. Yep.
I think they get them as well. And so, we talked about buying a used gun. In my experience, most used guns that come through the store, they're just fine. Like, people don't really shoot the guts out of their guns. I know of guys that have shot guns for the Department of Defense, Glocks, for example, that have, 200,000 rounds, and you think that's, exaggerating or false, but they are training firearms that have gone through a lot of rounds that literally have 200,000 rounds in them. Some of them have cracked frames. Some of them are just fine. Like, it's, but the normal person, the normal gun you find in a gun shop, no, it's not going to be beat up like that.
Right. And usually they'll tell you where the gun came from, whether it was like a municipal cop, state cops, federal or whatever. Yeah. You're going to know kind of where that came from. And so you can use that as kind of a barometer to think about how much use, you're going to see on that gun. But the other thing too is that, like I said before, right now, I mean, I think having any firearm is better than having no firearms. So,
sure. I wish I had one.
Yeah, it's a tough life not having any guns right now.
No, when you lose them all.
But another good place to look, Palmetto State Armory, we were talking about that a little before we started, is
that's on my list. Yeah,
those guys have amazing deals sometimes, and they disappear as fast as they appear. So you want to make sure you kind of check those. One of the things that you can do too with a lot of places is that if something's out of stock, you can always get notified via email of when it's in stock. And if you have the money or the credit card ready, once you get that email and you're ready to pull the trigger, that's a big tip, I would say, is that, if you're looking to buy a gun right now, you better have the money or a credit card to pay for it right now, because if you're waffling on it and you're not gonna pull the trigger on it, you're not gonna get it.
Yeah. For example, Mark mentioned that we were talking about Palmetto off the air, and we were. They have a firearm that I would really love to get a hold of that they make themselves. It's the little, AK V9 or whatever. Their little AK pistol. Super cool. They have a bunch of different offerings. I think it's cool. Some of you guys out there might think Palmetto is just a waste of time. But the gun has been getting good reviews. It's been a pretty solid platform. Anyways, that little gun is out of stock. Every once in a while, they put, I don't know how many back in stock, and they're usually gone within 10 to 15 minutes. Gone. So if you're not paying attention, if you're not signed up to get notifications when that stuff comes in stock, you're never going to get one. You're just going to be continually frustrated.
Yeah, and it's just going to keep passing you by, and sometimes it may just get more and more expensive.
And judging from the last 6 months, they probably will.
And I imagine in the next 6 months, it'll probably get even more rare and more expensive.
Yeah, at least within the next 4 or 5 months, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a big tip, is to have the money on hand right now, or, be ready to buy right now, however you want to do that, because otherwise you're going to have a tough time. But yeah, we mentioned AIM Surplus. They get a lot of cool old surplus stuff in too, where, if maybe you're, like I said, a CNR collector of some kind, or, they actually have a lot of parts now too. If you want to have a lot of parts or upgrade stuff, or maybe build your own stuff, you can find a lot of cool stuff that they usually have going on there. So, I'm a big fan of those guys.
For example, I was just perusing, like I said, I got a Glock 19 that I'm trying to put together, and here is a Glock 19 threaded barrel for $79.
That's a steal, no matter where you get it.
Oh my gosh, it is. If you look anywhere else, any other 19 threaded barrel, they're almost $200.
Yep. And then here's another one, is a police trade-in Sig Sauer P229 9mm with rail, $499. Although it's sold out.
Oh my gosh.
Still, the deals are there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So you just got to look, and you got to sign up for newsletters.
Why are we telling these people where to find all the stuff before we can get it? Why are we doing this?
Because we're doing our due diligence and spreading the gospel of the Second Amendment.
Because we care.
Right. And I think it would be better to have somebody, more new gun owners than add another gun to the safe at this point.
I guess.
So, are there any other websites that you, there's two more that I want to share, but I want to see if you have any that you think that you need to share before we move along.
Well, here's one that I had never heard of and never really spent time on until doing research for this, is BOTAC, BOTACH.
Oh yeah, I've heard of those guys. And
they got a lot of stuff on here.
Really?
And I think they even get trade-ins as well. So I'm kind of amazed. Maybe not, but they got a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah.
That's a good, actually, I think I might have bought something from them at one point or another. I can't really remember.
But anyways, they sell ammo. Let's see what they got here, just for fun. Let's see. It's thinking. Box of 22 mag, 50 rounds for $16. I could say that's probably all right, I guess.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Two other places, especially if you're just kind of going for like a Google style kind of overview. There's two places that I like to go to. One is gunwatcher.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just type in whatever you're looking for. If it's a Glock or, a Walther or something a little more obscure or something, you can go in, type that in, and they'll show you a list of everywhere that you can find that, whether it's an auction, whether it's, from an online FFL or a store or anything like that. You may not like the prices that you're seeing at the moment, but doesn't. At this
But
point,
it's available.
You can get it. You can get your hands on it. So another one that's much like that is wikiarms.com. I subscribe to their newsletter, and they seem to always have some pretty good deals going on. So definitely two places to check out for any kind of firearms or accessories or ammo.
Yeah. Another one that I've been kind of picking around, and they got some cool stuff on here too, is gun.deals. I don't know if you've been on their website.
Oh, yeah. Or not. That's another great one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got everything from firearms to just stuff.
To just stuff.
Yeah, stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff, and that's the other thing too, is like we talked about with magazines. I mean, I think that qualifies as stuff, and if you can't get it, or if you only have one mag, you're in a tough spot.
Yeah, you should at least have 5 for what you got.
Talking about ammo, though, that's what I wanted to switch over to, is that you might be able to find the gun you want, but it's going to be real hard to find the ammo you want, especially if you go to, your local gun store. And even for us, people that are in the gun world, we're going to be paying more than we usually are.
Yes.
And I remember last time I went shooting was a couple weeks ago, and I paid probably twice as much as what I'm used to paying, even with us, for ammo.
Yeah.
So
I know right now the local range in Idaho Falls here, when they can get it, their 9mm is $14.99 a box.
That's
it sucks, but I mean that's kind of what it is right now.
Yeah, and if you want to shoot, that's kind of what you have to deal with. But there are some places where you can't even find ammunition.
Correct.
So, it may be better, or it may be advantageous for you to go online. There are places you can buy ammo online, and it's actually a lot easier to buy ammo online than it is to buy a firearm, because depending on where you are, you can get it shipped to your house.
Right. And there may be some shipping fees that you got to deal with.
Ammo is heavy.
Hazmat and the weight, but it delivers right to your door. You don't have to be exposed by going to the store. It just shows up.
Yep, which is very cool. So this may be information that's better than gold, but where do you usually go to find your ammo online?
I've never bought ammo online, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, never. I don't know why. For some reason I don't like it.
Well, it could be that you have, since you just have local access to firearms all the time, or into ammo all the time.
Yeah.
That might be a reason.
That might be. And I still pay, for ammo. It's not like I get it for free. And like you said before, we pay more money for it now than we used to. But I don't know. There's just something about ordering online. I know a lot of people that do it. My brother does it. My buddies do it. Adam, we talked to Adam, our friend Adam, he talked to me about buying some stuff online, but I just haven't made that leap.
Well, that's okay. I mean, maybe one day you'll join the 21st century.
Maybe. Once I get one of them smartphones.
Yeah, maybe. And you get some cell phone service over there in the eastern Idaho.
Some of that World Wide Web's connection.
Yeah, man. So, but no, I've bought ammo online. It's very easy. It's not difficult at all, and it's convenient. When you can get it. And it might be easier nowadays than going to fight through, the lines or the crowds at your local gun shop or something like that. One of the places that I like to go to is laxammo.com. Yeah. They've got reloaded ammo, which, everybody's probably got their opinions on that, but they've also got new ammo, and you can buy them by the case or by the box or whatever. But I will say their 9mm reloads are pretty cheap, and I've never had a problem with them. So I've not bought it many times, but the couple times that I have, pretty good stuff.
Well, and if they're selling it like that, then they have to be a licensed reloader anyways, or a licensed ammunition facility. So you should be pretty safe.
Yeah, and like we said, you're gonna pay more. I'm actually looking at some of these prices that they have online right now for reloads, and I'm kind of crying on the inside because it's not cheap. It's not cheap, which is like the situation, you know, but maybe you want to just find certain kind of ammo, or maybe you're looking for defensive ammo, which is still kind of hard to find. You know, I go to a place called sgammo.com. It's kind of like a Google thing where you type in what you're looking for. You're able to look at the caliber you're looking for, and they'll kind of show you a list of all the different places that you can get your ammo and for how much or whatever. So, but man, is it not cheap right now?
Nothing's cheap right now. It sure sucks.
So on SG Ammo, 1,000 rounds, 9mm, 115 grain, full metal jacket, $439.
Oh my goodness!
I remember you could get it for half that, you know, a year ago.
Yeah. So like right now here, I'm on what's this called? Sportsman's Outdoor Superstore, which is another cool site. You can find a lot of stuff on there, not just gun stuff, but all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And they have Blazer Brass, the aluminum jackets or aluminum case for $19 a box of 50.
Ugh.
Aluminum.
So bad. It should be a third of that.
It should be maybe $8.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's bad. But hey, if you want to shoot, that's what you got to do.
But their gold dots aren't bad.
See, and that's the other thing is what I've noticed is that defensive ammo is still around, and it's not much more expensive.
Well, I recently purchased a fair amount of defensive ammunition from an undisclosable source at a great deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good stuff.
That's a good thing.
I'm good on defensive right now, unless I get in a shootout.
Hopefully you do not.
I hope I do not as well.
So, but yeah, I mean, and you can never have too much defensive ammo, I guess, you know, but you obviously want to practice. You don't want to practice with only defensive ammo, or else you're spending way a lot of money.
I don't know. 9mm is getting close to 50 cents a round. That is awful. It is.
But you know, maybe your local gun stores or the big box stores don't have ammo, and you need to get ammo to shoot. And if you're willing to pay for it, you can find it online somewhere.
Yeah, do it. Jump online.
Yeah, and going back to the newsletters thing that I was talking about, you know, if you want to be like the first to find out about stuff, you can sign up for newsletters, and you can check your email every day, or sign up for alerts or whatever. I get ones from Aim Surplus. I get them from Gun.Deals. I get them from WikiArms. There's even, I believe there's still somewhere on Reddit that you can get them too. I know that you might not know what the Reddit is, but...
Well, that actually surprises me that there'd be stuff on Reddit.
Yeah, they've kind of had a back and forth with, you know, Reddit being allowed to be able to post, or, you know, people be able to post that stuff on Reddit. But apparently if you go to reddit.com/r/gundeals, you can still find some good deals on stuff.
That's cool. I'm glad they have it.
Yeah. It might not be the best things in the world, but hey, it's good deals. So,
and you know, you might be worried about being bombarded by all these emails or whatever. One thing I've done when it comes to that is I just set up a very separate email that I only do, you know, newsletters for firearms on. So it's just an email for that kind of stuff. So my regular work email or whatever doesn't get flooded with spam. So that might be an option too if you're worried about that kind of thing.
Smart man. Yeah, I go through my junk mail every once in a while, and there's all kinds of interesting things in there.
Yeah, stuff you never knew you needed.
Oof, yikes. The other thing, too, I was going to say is that, you know, I guess it depends on your situation. If you're looking to just get a gun right now, you know, you don't necessarily be the most picky person in the world. You know, if you can find something that's in stock for a decent price or whatever, I would jump on it. And the same thing goes with if you're trying to, if you're trying to build an AR, now would be the time to start buying lowers. Not to like
Yeah.
panic buy or anything like that, but if you can find lowers for a good price, those kind of never go out of style, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and let's just for fun, let's look and see. Let's see what Palmetto has for lowers. It used to be that lowers were about $50.
I don't think so now.
No. Holy smokes. Palmetto is now at 85.
Oof.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot. But the other thing I was going to say is you don't necessarily have to go to, or you don't have to limit your search for lower receivers to just like Palmetto or distributors. You can usually go straight to the manufacturers, like Aero Precision, for example. A great company out of Tacoma that makes great AR stuff.
Yeah, when we've talked about this before, that a lower is a serialized component. It is the firearm, so you'll have to fill out the paperwork. So just be mindful of that, and there might be some transfer fees involved.
But it's a small price to pay to get it in your safe.
Correct.
As of right now, Aero Precision is completely sold out, but there's a lot of other great manufacturers that you can go to find lowers. You just may have to do some searching or sign up for some alerts or buy a full rifle. That might be, if you don't care necessarily about building your own AR, you might be able to get a decent deal on a fully built one. It's just whether or not you're going to find one and how hard you're willing to search.
Yeah. Well, and some of those police trade-ins might be an option for you. Exactly.
It's better to have something than nothing.
Absolutely.
So, I think that about covers it, really. I can't think of really anything else. We covered handguns, we covered ammo, we talked about rifles a little bit. I was going to say, if we were under normal circumstances and if you're looking for something obscure or you're looking for something specific and it's not your first firearm, I think all of these rules still apply. Gunbroker is definitely a great place to look for that stuff. Like I said, Forgotten Weapons and Larry Vickers and a couple other people are great to search for reviews for those kinds of guns. And if you're kind of in that road and going down that road for more obscure collector's item stuff, you have to have the patience.
Yeah. Well, patience on anything if you're looking for a good price.
Sure.
Really. And I can testify. That's not even a word. That was a nice merging two words together. I can attest to being patient because I actually have a gun that I've been waiting for me at the store finally.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Can
you share what it is?
Hopefully they haven't taken it out of the back. It's the Ruger 57.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think I said in the beginning that the Glock 44 was going to be my first gun that I buy this year. But it's not.
But it won't be.
No. Hopefully the 57 won't be the last.
Yeah, I mean there's still plenty of year left, so you might get lucky.
Yeah. I've been trying to find a good bolt gun, but the specific one I'm looking for some reason, people have already soaked them all up, I guess.
Yeah, and you know what? If that's another thing though too, is if you are if you're looking for like a bolt gun or a hunting gun of some kind or a shotgun, you might be able to find something like that. It seems like that ARs and handguns are really the big ones that are, moving fast and hard to find. Yeah,
handguns especially.
So, maybe expand your horizons a little bit and think, okay, well, if I'm looking for something like home defense or kind of, self-protection or whatever, handgun, shotgun, rifle, any of those could apply. Maybe try to think outside the box a little bit. And, like I said, I've said a couple times now, but something is better than nothing.
Here's a little inside information that I heard that could just be hyperbole, but SIG is going to stop manufacture of the 365 XL.
Really?
That was what I heard.
Completely or just temporarily?
All I know is they're going to stop manufacturing. So I don't know if that means short-term, long-term, which seems baffling to me because it is a very hot-selling firearm for SIG. But
sure,
I don't know how true that is. I heard that from a retail space owner
through the grapevine.
Yeah, from his SIG distributor.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see.
We'll see. I know SIG's been having some issues this last few months. So
yeah. So, well, I think that about covers it. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so. Other than just remember to be patient, and to save, because by the time that gun comes around, it might be a little bit more than you anticipated. And,
a little bit.
And get some training.
Yeah, if you can, if you've got the means and you've got the equipment, get some training. I guess that's one thing, is that you could, if your local gun shop offers training and rents firearms, you might be able to rent a firearm from them for the training, which would help you kind of jumpstart, what you're trying to do. So maybe look into that. Hopefully we've given you enough information. And
I know, as far as our range, maybe you could rent the gun that you're thinking about buying if we have it in the rental pool, and that's the one you use in the classes. So by the time you actually buy the gun, you're already used to that platform.
Yeah, so that's an option there. And yeah, let's say in Independence we do rent firearms, and quite a few, so that's a good thing.
Yeah,
and we might be able to help you out, with getting some training and getting familiar with guns, if nothing else, and moving you along in your firearms journey, even if you don't have a firearm.
Yeah.
So, cool. I think that'll wrap it up for this one. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or maybe any additional websites or something we missed, and you don't mind giving away your secrets, email us, podcast@iishooting.com, or find us on Facebook and Instagram at Range Minded Podcast, and let us know. We'll share with the class.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, be safe.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to Range Minded. Find us online at Range Minded Podcast on Facebook, or send us an email at podcast@iishooting.com. We're always happy to get feedback, episode suggestions, whatever you want to send us, really. And be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and pretty much wherever else you get your podcasts from. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.